Good morning. Welcome to our first lesson in AutoCAD. So in today's lesson, we're going to learn all about how to draw 2D sketches in AutoCAD precisely. So first things first, before we start, I recommend that you use a mouse for this. Now, AutoCAD, unlike other softwares, other CAD softwares, you can get away with not using a mouse, but it's really much easier if you use a mouse. So if you have one, I recommend you go get it, pause this video, plug it in, and use it from this point forward. If you don't have one, you'll probably be fine. You'll be fine for today's lesson, but it'll start getting harder. So I recommend that you do get one. Okay, so here's AutoCAD, and the first thing I want to talk about is what we see right here. And you should notice that there is a grid. And if you go down into the left-hand corner, you'll see an X and a Y. So this is basically an XY coordinate grid. And when you draw things in here, you can access that grid and put stuff directly on that grid. And when you draw anything, you are really on that grid. So like right now, if I go up here and I draw a line, select line. If I draw a line, it puts the line on that grid. Now up here, this section where we have all of our tools, this is called the ribbon. And the ribbon will have most of the tools we're going to use. It has lines, circles, rectangles. If you go up here, you can go into different tabs and see that we can add things like dimensions. There's some stuff we haven't learned about yet, but it lets you do all sorts of cool things. The ribbon has most of what we're going to use, but it doesn't have 100% of the tools on AutoCAD. 100% of the tools on AutoCAD can be accessed down here in this section. This is called the command bar. So in the command bar, you can enter the name of any command. Let's say I want to draw a rectangle. I can click in there and I can draw my rectangle. Now the command bar in AutoCAD, something that's really nice is you can access it even like without clicking in the command bar. So for example, let's say I wanted to draw a circle. I'm not clicking in the command bar right now. I'm just kind of hovering in space. I'm going to hit escape just to make sure I don't have anything selected. And I can type in a command and it'll act the same way the command bar does, just in open space. I personally really like this feature. So I can draw a circle just like that. Now what I want you guys to try right now is to create this. So this is Unit 3, Lesson 1. Our aim for today is how do we draw 2D shapes in AutoCAD precisely. And what I want you to do for your do now is to just try to create the shape that you see over to the left. I'm going to zoom in so you can get a better look at it. So it's a rectangle that's 2.5 by 4.5. It has a circle in the middle of it. The radius of that circle is 1/2 inch, and it is perfectly centered in here. So take 3 to 5 minutes, attempt to create this. If after 5 minutes you still have not been able to create it, or you're having problems with certain parts of it, that's fine, because I'm going to go through it. Notice that this rectangle starts exactly at the origin, so right at 0, 0. So try to replicate this exactly as I have it. You should pause the video here and attempt it. Okay, now that you've attempted it, I'm going to go through and show you how I would do it. So there's a couple of ways to approach this, but the first thing we need to note is that when you want to start at the origin. So let's say that you decided to use lines as opposed to a rectangle. I'm going to type in line. Now, it prompts me to specify the first point, my start point. And I said earlier I want to start at the origin. So I'm going to move my cursor over to the origin and try to get to 0, 0. And if you attempted this, by the way I'm moving around the screen is I'm clicking on the scroll wheel and moving my mouse. Clicking on the scroll wheel and moving my mouse will allow me to navigate around the screen. Okay, so again, if I want to go to 0, 0, move my mouse. I can get really close, but I can't really get quite there. And no matter what I do, no matter how much I zoom in, I will not be able to get it perfectly at 0, 0. The way to get it at perfectly 0, 0 is you actually have to type in 0, comma, and it'll jump you to the y coordinate. So 0 was the x coordinate. Now comma will get you to the y coordinate, 0, and it'll allow you to draw a line that starts at the origin. And then I can draw everything to the proper length. I can make this 2.5. It stays in the line function, the line command, so I can go through, continue, 4.5, down 2.5 inches, click, and there's my rectangle. Now, I think it's a little bit easier to not draw this with lines. I think it's easier to draw it with a rectangle, so I'm going to click, move my mouse over, click again to select this rectangle and delete it. And I'm just going to draw a rectangle. I'm accessing it in the ribbon. And I'm just going to draw a rectangle. I'm going to go 0, 0, and then I want to make my rectangle 4.5, 2.5. So there's my rectangle. Now I'll try to draw a circle. One thing about the circle or anything, if you don't see what I see right now, where I have the ability to enter things, it could be because you've actually hit F12. So if that's not visible, hit F12 and it'll come back. You can try toggling it now. So if you ever can't input something, hit F12 and it'll come back to you. Okay, so I can specify the center point of my circle. It'd be really nice if I could select right in the middle, but I guess I can figure out, these numbers are pretty simple, what the center point of my circle is. It's going to be 2.25, comma 1.25, and then it asks me to input the radius, which is, let me remind myself, I'm drawing 0.5 inches. So I'll draw a circle again, start at 2.25, comma 1.25, and give it a radius of 0.5. And there I have the shape. You don't need to add the dimensions or the center lines that I had. This is all I asked you to create. Now, it was really annoying to have to calculate where the center of the circle was. And if my numbers weren't as friendly, then it would be extra difficult to place the circle directly in the center of this rectangle. So we do something to make this a little bit easier. What I want you to do is I want you to create, adjust your settings the way I'm about to right now. So we're going to type the command. I'm going to go to the command bar here. OSNAP, no H, OSNAP. OSNAP stands for object snap. And this will allow you to edit parts of your object that your cursor snaps to as you work with AutoCAD. So I'm going to hit enter. And then I get these settings that pop up. And now what I want to do is I want to first check to make sure object snap on is checked, which it is already by default, and object snap tracking is on as well. That's checked. Good. Now there are all these things that your mouse can already snap to. So endpoints, centers of circles, intersections of lines, and extensions, ends of extensions. So we want to make sure we can select more things, specifically the midpoint. That way we can select the midpoint of our rectangle, of the lines along our rectangle, and use that to place our circle. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to hit select all. There is going to be one that I'm going to unselect. That's the one that's called nearest. Nearest can be very confusing. It could cause lots of little issues because it will literally snap to whatever the nearest point is to your cursor. So it doesn't really allow any of these other things to happen. So I'm going to unselect that. It can be useful at times, but for what we're doing right now, it's really just going to get in the way. So we're going to unselect that. I'm going to verify again, object snap on, object snap tracking is on, everything's on. Okay, so we're going to hit OK. And then I'm going to select my circle and delete it. And I'm going to try drawing it again. And this time when I try drawing it, you'll see that this triangle pops up when I hover over this line. This will not happen unless I'm in a command. So like right now, I hit escape. You can see it says cancel over here, indicating that I've canceled the command. When I hover over these lines, it doesn't show me that green triangle. But when I'm in a command, I'm actually going to select circle. When I'm in a command, it'll actually show me that triangle. And actually it does something else. It auto-generates the center of the shape. I can get the midpoints of everything, really nice and friendly. So after I do that, I select that I can enter in 0.5, and there I have my shape. Okay. Now what I want you guys to do is I want you to create the following shape. 3.5 by 7 with a circle with a radius of 1 in the middle. This R1, that stands for the radius of the circle, is 1. And have it placed perfectly center in the shape. Okay, and that's what you're going to create, and that's what you're going to submit. So create it right now, don't save it, and pause the video. And then after you create it, I'll show you how exactly I want you to save this, and I'm actually going to have you submit this. Okay, so you can pause now. All right, now that you're done, here's what I want you to do. I want you to press Control S on your keyboard, or you can hit this floppy disk right here to save this file. And you can put it anywhere you want. I'm just gonna put it in my documents. Here's how I want you to name it. I want you to name it PD. Sorry, not PD. I want you to name it first with whatever your period is. So 3, 4, or 6. So 3 underscore. Pretend you're in my third period class for a moment, but if you're in my fourth or sixth period class, you can put a 4 or 6 underscore last. So that's your last name. Do not put the word last. Underscore first name. Underscore the name of the assignment. So here we're going to call it rectangle and circle. So again, period underscore last name underscore first name underscore rectangle and circle. Hit save. And that's the file you're going to submit to me on Google Classroom for grading. Now for this first assignment, this isn't a project. I'm not going to give you a big grade for this. It's just like classwork participation. But going forward, this is how we'll do all of our submissions on Google Classroom. You're going to name all of them that same way. Okay. So that's today's lesson. If you have questions, please post them in the comments under the video in Google Classroom, and I will answer them as fast as I can and make myself available throughout the day. Okay. Have a good one. I'll see you guys on Monday.